So round 3 up against TFG Gaming, which I believe stands for Two Fat Goblins Gaming, and up against Ultramarines. I had this as a slightly favoured matchup, and a lot of the other team wasn't that good into Ultramarines, so we ended up in this and we were quite happy. That was before I realised that Jonathan was has played for Team England and is now one of the coaches for them. So I was a bit optimistic with that, especially given the power of Blades of Ultramar in particular. But yes, so reasonably standard Bolster Institutionalists, Titus, Combi Weapon, Calgar, Ventress, Intercessors of various type, Company Heroes, which are a bit awkward to kill, some Incursors for scouting, 3 Pulsar Executioners, some Victrix, and some Wardens. So looking at this, and the reason why I felt it was Death Guard favoured is there's very little inruns in this army. There's a lot of 2-up saves, which Death Guard do quite well, as long as stuff's in contagion range. So again, it's bringing the opponent's big stuff into contagion range and then can really counterattack hard. Repulsor Executioner does not being shot by AP5 melters. Same with Victory's Guards. And also Death Guard are quite nice answers to some of the problems the Victory's Guard can cause. So Blood Surge isn't too much of an issue. You can set it up into a drone. You can -1 damage to keep them in place potentially. You can then 6-inch deep strike with Death Shroud so you can get the charge to them. So there's a lot of good things in Death Guard's favour, especially as there's not masses of chaff and things getting in the way. So hopefully can line up some good charges and use these sort of training pieces they've got to force Ultramarines into engagement range or contagion range to then try and capitalise on that. So deployment, reasonably standard Death Guard deployment. Obviously took the extra AP contagion. Terminators were in reserve. It's hard to get melter shots here, at least in melter range. So I had the 2 drones here to try and counter any repulsors that came out here or on the flank. Spawn here to scout onto the objective or scout back into this spot, and likewise over here. Poxwalkers ended up going over here to sticky this objective. So if you go first, I end up doing, I can sticky 3 objectives and similar to Emperor's Children, then hide back and try and force Ultramarines to be the first ones to deploy. With a lot of stuff around here, I had the 2 flesh mowers here close to the Prince, so if Ultramarines do come out and get aggressive early, I can still -1 damage because I'll have 1 CP and the Prince to make it 1 less. Try and keep something alive. I'm not too worried about the Prince dying, but maybe the drones get picked up if they don't -1 damage, and then start chipping away at the whatever Ultramarine stuff has become, probably Victrix Guard or something. Ultramarines deployment, they redeployed this one back. Never really expected it to stay there. But again, the mult is there just to kind of keep it honest, and even if they do redeploy, they're not going to put all 3 over here. So, or if they do, that's kind of fine in and of itself. So keep the melted drones where they are, aware they can redeploy. It ends up coming back here-ish, and that's about it. So yeah, Death Guard go first. Spawn of sticky some objectives. So they hide behind the wall and they go back. And we essentially start the game almost at turn 3 because IC objectives run away. We have a better view of Ultramarines deployment here. So the Combi Lieutenant here, not on the objective, presumably so I don't get overforce early, because otherwise the Spawn could maybe scout here, move up, charge. The reactives make it a problem. Reactives were a real pain throughout. It is live repulsor executioners are a great profile, and if you just run back into it, it's not easy to get them out. So even if repulsor executioners could be shot by my blight launcher drones, AP2 into an arm of contempt into cover just meant I was never tempted. I really had to wait for them to get close to my blight haulers to really get through, so that their extra AP and their melters can take effect. But yeah, how turn 1 went and how 2 10 was basically the same. They jumped out some assault intercessors. They put them in tactical mode. They then, when I put some spawn out, they 6-inch retreated behind the wall. There's potential stuff I could do here about maybe keeping these guys still and trying a charge, but it just didn't feel worth the risk. So Spawn came out to push them back. Nothing's in contagion, so I can't judge. So that's essentially my turn 2. And then we're straight on to my turn 3. So yes, clock was not an issue in this game. So Assault Intercessors come back out. They shoot up a spawn from a Repex, but it lives on a wound. And this is really vital. I think the Repex, one of its big gunshots blew up. The other, it only had then like the heavy bolter and the Icarus in range, and it only did 3 wounds. I think these guys were doing an action or something, so they couldn't finish it off. And it moves up over here. I can then get quite a lot of this in engagement range, and I have the potential to deep strike my Death Shroud, charge these, tag this, make a real pain of it. So Ultramarines end up using their reactive here to move it forward to make sure I can't threaten this with my contagion bubble. As they've moved forward, I then deep strike the Blight Lords here to come and shoot them instead. Over on the right, I draw Assassinate. I give up on trying to charge this guy down. He can move back. I believe he's with 9 if there. So if I get him within range, he's just going to free jump back in there. There's some the Wardens of Ultramar on here, so I'm not going to take this objective. But I do move these guys up. This was able to fully fit on there. We did pre-measure, and it ends up being much for muchness as the melter drone stays outside of 9 but within 12, so it can shoot them, and the melter just picks up the lieutenant for a nice assassinate. This is really interesting because in a singles environment, this is really scary because I'm trying to push into Ultramarines. In teams, I've got the backup that a 1 point loss in singles is devastating. A 1 point loss in teams is kind of a shame. It's nothing more than that. So I am able to keep defensive. I have a little chat and be like, look, I'm really struggling to push. I'm really struggling to draw these guys out because of their reactive moves. It's not quite going to plan. So I'm able to still take it slow, and I don't have to worry about being like, cool, they're going to get 15 points at the end that I'm probably not going to be able to catch up on. So I'm able to keep it really slow. However, I do start to make a really big mistake this turn. I have Overforce. I try and take these guys out with a couple of things. I think the grenade drone tries to, but I essentially end up leaving this dude alive. So yeah, Spawn have come out. Ultramarines have a chance to come in, so they deep strike some of their Victrix Guard here, thanks to Euroventris, I think it is. And so they're able to put some pressure on me, and I charge into the Assault Marines that are across these 2 objectives. I'm aware these guys can heroic. I decide that's fine. I don't know why I decided that fine. I think I was thinking, oh, okay, well, I'll probably take out the Victrix with the Mortals. I'll kill here, so we'll get Overforce. I completely forget about the primary here. It's just an absolute brain fade. It is game 3 of the day. And the Spawn unsurprisingly had taken out. If it wasn't an Ultramarines detachment and Calgor Wire, they have so easy access to fall back and do whatever you want. I'd be tempted to -1 damage these guys just so they stick these guys in combat. They can't do anything first, but it is Ultramarines. They can do what they want. So Spawn die. Ultramarines get 15. It's looking pretty tough for me at this stage, and I'm thinking, shit, I've really cost the team here and made a bad situation worse by essentially getting impatient and chasing 2 Overforce points, which I do get, but Ultramarines get 10 right off the back. Thankfully, we're skipping ahead to Death Guard turn here. It doesn't end up being too much of an issue. So Repulsor Executioner comes up here, starts fighting some Blight Lords. They don't end up killing too much. I'm able to come back and hit them here. The squad that was over here, the squad that heroic, comes into all of this stuff here, and just doesn't do anything of note. I kind of keep this setup quite a lot. You see a couple of drones in order next to each other, and then a Prince. People get often attacking the Prince is normally a mistake in combat because he just doesn't care. He's T12. He's 2 up, 4 up with 5 up, feel no pain. Don't do anything. Some attacks have to end up going into drone. -1 damage means the Victrix don't do anything material into it. The Prince pops off a little bit back and he takes a couple out. This guy then falls back. I think he forces a reactive. No, he falls back. He doesn't force a reactive move. I'm getting confused with games. And these guys just pick up the rest of the Victrix God and Calgar. So when I talk about earlier about having Death Guard sometimes winning the game in the opponent's turn, this is sort of what I meant. They come in, they do nothing, we kill a lot of them, and then we can sort of springboard off that next turn. We get very lucky over here. These guys come out. We had a bunch of drones around like here at the start of the turn, and they just fail their charge. It's something like a 6, and they fail it even with a reroll. They're left in the open. They then try and reactive back into the tank when I move up there, and they roll a 1 or a 2 or whatever it was, so they can't get back into the tank. Some Death Shrouders had to come back here. I'd had to rapid ingress in them in Ultramarines turn, otherwise they'd have died. Potentially to come over here, left myself the option here. They come up here, they make a decent discharge to come in here, and they just smash them. A lot of contagion, kills a couple. One of these guys tank shocks on their way in and did maximum mortal wounds. It capped out at 6, which from 9 dice is pretty impressive. So certainly had a bit of luck here, and I absolutely crushed the Ultramarines push. The only thing I get arguably unlucky about is I get this guy down to 2 wounds quite quickly with the melters, and then I can't finish off with my other shooting. It's not going to lie, it's been a hell of a turn. The game pressure completely switches around. Ultramarines still have end of game scoring. It's by no means over, especially as they are, I think they're still ahead at this stage, but the tempo of the game is completely switched, and despite having made a mistake, it's suddenly like, oh, this isn't going to be a narrow. It was looking like it could end up swinging very heavy Ultramarine. It's now gone back much more even. So yeah, similar picture. We don't have all of our Blight Lords, but they come in, and again their shooting's really nice into Marine profiles, despite not looking that scary. Little things like the Blight Launchers normally winning this guy on 6s. You put him in contagion range, you're on 5 with rerolls. The AP gets up. There's lethals. We chip away really nicely, and then we end up killing it in combat. So this flank is now secure. I'm always going to get hold 1. It's going to be really hard to stop Ultramarines getting a hold. Me getting a hold 2. My primary. It's very late. We're going into turn 4 at this stage. This is my turn 4. But it is. We're finally starting to get some primary. There's not a lot Ultramarines can really do about it at this stage. So yeah, end of Death Guard turn. Looking at Ultramarines turn, they've got a repulsor executioner here. They've got some guys over here, and got another repulsor. They've got their wardens here, and they've got their incursors here. This guy decides to stay here. He's got 5 OC. We've got more than that on the objective. They line up at this drone to start taking it out. Yeah, you can see. I don't normally point to the clock because I've never clocked anyone out in my life. But we can see we're going into turn 4 and we've used 40 minutes each at this stage. Yeah, what wasn't worried about time in this one in particular. Finally remember that Death Guard have an auto-explode strat. So this guy comes up, it kills the drone, we auto-explode. It means these guys take a bunch of mortals, and then I think they kill another one, and then another explodes, so we get 2 sprays of mortals going off. But we do roll the all-important 2 to finish this guy off, and it just means that Ultramarines can't control this objective. We get a hold more. We suddenly get a 15-point swing, which in a close game is tight. It puts us ahead, and even with end-of-game scoring, it's now going to be very close. It's going to be tight. Again, I think actually my game 5 was on stream, and I was chatting to Charlie, and it's like, the nice thing about teams is that, you know, if I lose this by a point, it sort of doesn't matter. Whereas if I win it by a point, it's a nice moral victory. So you can be a little bit more relaxed in the later turns and not quite on edge. Yeah, similar picture. We've got some stuff in reserve. A lot of this stuff is now essentially out of the game. There's not much they can do unless I draw some useful secondaries. But that part of the field is least secure. So yep, we explode. We've got lots of wounds floating in the pool around here, but we do hold on to the objective. So turn 5, told you it was quick. We move this guy on here. This guy can't fly. He can't get over this thing. We can't get there. The Wardens need a big old advance. I think they need exactly 6 here. These guys come here so that they can threaten an Overwatch, and we head behind. That's what these dice were here measuring. Just about able to squeeze over. And the Ultramarine secondary draw is quite limited. We tried a little bit of a thing to get there, but we ended up needing a sort of double six or something, so we abandoned that pretty quickly, I think. So Ultramarines just able to hold one. They draw some reasonably bad secondaries, and despite it looking very rough in the middle, it's just counting scores in. Death Guard do take a win. They take it 12-8. And this was actually one of the closest games in the round. Fire and Dice ended up winning all 5 across the team, helped by Sam smashing Necrons 20-0 and Byron smashing a more defilery Death Guard list 16-4. I was playing next to Byron. It was quite nice when I was struggling seeing Death Guard push into Demons. I didn't know what the game scoring was, but when I saw Death Guard commit first into Demons, I'm like, okay, Be'lakor and Scarbrand are going to come and smash, so I just make sure I'm not letting the team down. I can still go a little bit slow. I don't have to force into Ultramarines, which is where I get really punished, and it goes from like, oh, this is a on the balance and loss to just a big loss. So that was nice, and we had 2 other much smaller wins for Dennis's Necrons into Tau and Haristo's Niz into CSM, and we ended up winning the round reasonably comfortably, or very comfortably, at 71-29. So that was really nice. And then we head to the Premier Inn we're staying at for a rather long meal and some nice ciders and things.